If the Republicans raise the corporate rate, or if they raise the highest rate, kiss the midterm elections goodbye.
Absolutely.
Because I'll campaign against every single one of them. I mean, I'll go against every one of them. I'd much rather have the cheats in the other party rather than my own party. And frankly, raising the rates is the wrong thing to do.
That was Art Laffer here yesterday, stating in no uncertain terms how upset he would be if there were any tax increases coming out of the tax extension reconciliation package that's being worked on right now between the Republicans in the House and the Senate. Joining me now is Grover Norquist, president at Americans for Tax Reform. Great to see you, Grover. So would you join Art in a public protest trying to primary these guys if they actually call for increased taxes?
One wouldn't need to. It would simply happen. And Art Laffer's not alone in seeing not only the economic foolishness of raising the top marginal tax rate, the thing that most damages economic growth, he's joined by President Trump. And for your viewers, 26 days ago, some people in the bowels of the White House, not loyal Trump supporters, but they work at the White House, have been leaking to the press that the White House is thinking that members of Congress like this idea of raising tax rates on the American people. And maybe the president does. And then the press takes those comments and tweets and sends them out and talks about them. They call me on the phone and say, I understand lots of Republicans want to raise taxes. And I say, name two, right? Yeah. And then they say, well, you know, we're told from the White House that people want to. Well, the Wall Street Journal finally outed one or two of the guys who was doing this on their own against the president. We had a message sent today that the president sent out. He sent it to Gingrich and asked him to share it. And he points out.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second, Grover. We have that, as a matter of fact. Newt is going to be on tomorrow, okay. And we actually have that note to Newt from President Trump, and I'm going to read it now. Newt is quite possibly right on this. George Bush said, read my lips, no new taxes, then proceeded to give a rather small tax increase, and he was obliterated. While I love the idea of a small increase, the Democrats would probably use it against us, and we would be like Bush, helpless to do anything about it. So if you can do without it, you're probably better off trying to do so. We don't need to be the read my lips gang who lost an election for no reason. So there's a note from the commander-in-chief saying no new taxes.
Well, and the way to understand how powerful this slapdown to the jerks in the bowels of the White House is, and to the people in the press who are taking it seriously, or they knew it wasn't real. I talked to them and I said, look, I talked to all the guys in the House. Nobody that matters wants to do this.
I gotta interrupt again. Forgive me. But we had Representative Muser on from Pennsylvania. He was on with Maria a couple of days ago, and he came out and said he not only was for having a so-called millionaires tax kick in at $700,000 by 1.5 percentage points, but he said it would actually bring in $15 billion of revenue. So he was wrong on two ends, both politically and on how much revenue would not come in.
What you're finding is one or two people, and I talked to one of the conservatives who was for raising the corporate income tax. And when I went to go ask what he was talking about, he said, oh, we would never do that, but I'm threatening them because they're so woke. I want to punch them in the face. So there are a handful of people who said, oh, I could be for that, meaning you better watch out, you better send me money for my campaign contributions. But what Trump has said here is not only this lousy economics, we are reminded that he ran in 2016 against the Bush betrayal, the Bush marginal tax rate. Yes. It's how he destroyed Jeb Bush, who with his $90 million was supposed to walk in and knock Trump, out of the park. Yeah. And now it was going to be the Bush thing. And he said, this is the guy, and Bush, Jeb Bush, defended his father's decision to lie to the American people and raise taxes. You know who said that we should raise the top rate or not continue the lower top rate? Kamala Harris. That was her campaign promise in 2024. And the president, at our website, atr.org, we've got all the statements where Trump is making fun of her for being for a tax increase on the top brackets, going, how stupid do you have to be? Yeah. I don't know why anyone thought the president would get suckered into this game. He's been very clear. And, of course, the House and Senate leadership doesn't want to do this. And I think this idea, which has been exposed as somebody's fantasy, and they tried to tell everybody it was happening, and the establishment press loved the idea of talking about it for 25 days.
And it is a fantasy. And just to bring people back to earth, to Reelsville, which is where we live, we want to show them once again, just to remind you what happened when tax rates were lowered. When they were lowered, generally speaking, we had an increase from 2017 till now of 48%. That's more than double the increase in the inflation rate. So you can't say it was because of inflation. But that's a 48.6% increase in tax revenue as a result of lowering rates. Corporate-wise, it was even better. We had a 158% increase in corporate tax revenue after we lowered that dramatically down to 21%. So that's the reality. That is real. These fantasies that they're living with, that raising a millionaire's tax would bring in all this new revenue, is just that. It's fantasy.
It is. The best way to have more revenue for the government is to grow the economy. The best way to grow the economy is to keep rates low, have less regulation, keep energy costs low, and fight the trial lawyers. You do those things, and you have a strong, growing economy. And sadly, the result is the government gets more money, which is unfortunate. But if you really want more revenue for the government, cut rates. You don't raise them.
That's right. If you want to screw the rich, cut their rates, and they'll take their money out of all the gold and all those non-taxables and put it into the economy where it can do some good for all of us. Grover Norquist, thank you so much for being here, Grover.